Let's see if I can find a place to record this. This might work. It's been about a week now since Copenhagen Marathon. It was hands down the best marathon that I've ever run. Super fast course. My day went amazing as well. Got the PB that I wanted to, so yeah, super happy. With the marathon, I kind of wanted to just do this one for myself, so I didn't take the GoPro with me. I just kind of wanted to be in the moment and try and race it as hard as I can. You know, I'm not going to be able to run it as fast as possible with the camera, and I really wanted to push for the PB. I mean, going into this race, I really wasn't sure that the PB was going to be on the cards. Picked up that injury over Christmas, and then the training actually ended up being really good after Christmas, so I had about 12 weeks of really solid training. But then going into the taper, I wasn't perfect. I picked up Lyme's disease from a tick bite that I managed to get whilst trail running, which definitely wasn't ideal, so I was on antibiotics for a while. And then during the taper, I had a couple of pretty bad travel days that kind of really affected me. So there was definitely low energy going into the race. And then even the day before the race, I was absolutely wrecked, exhausted, had no energy. So rather than exploring Copenhagen, I ended up just sitting in the hotel, recovering, resting, getting ready for the race. And then it was probably only on the very morning of the race that I decided to really go for the PB, because I woke up after an amazing sleep, felt great, and thought, okay, I'm going to go for this. So yeah, it was very much a last minute decision. I was kind of on the fence about whether I'd just take it easy, take the GoPro and just, document the experience. But no, when I woke up that morning, I kind of knew, no, PB was potentially on the cards, so kind of went for it. And then, yeah, so we rocked up to the race. It was pretty busy and crowded getting there. Had to cram onto the metro to get to the start line. And then obviously a big marathon, it's always a bit chaotic at the start, which is not really what you want going into a big race. You kind of want to relax and settle yourself down, and instead you're, queuing up for toilets and trying to get through the crowds. And I ended up just sitting on the curb in the start area for 20 minutes. So I was a bit stiff when I actually started going, but I was kind of just sat there looking at all of the alpha flyers at the start of the race. I'd say, I don't know, at least a third of the runners at the front of the field were wearing the Alpha 5.3s, so yeah, there was a lot of them. And as soon as we started going, I felt an instant pain in my hip and thought, oh, here we go. But luckily that faded pretty quickly. The first 5k of the race, I'd say I was pretty conservative from a pacing perspective. I set off at about 4 minutes and 40 seconds per kilometre, which was just under 3:20 marathon pace, which was my PB going into the race. And that first 5k I just didn't feel comfortable, but just kind of tried to settle into the pace. And then after 5k I just kind of started to pick the pace up slightly, drift more towards the 4 minutes 30 and 4 minutes 35 kilometre pace, which is more like what I was aiming for, around 3:15 or at least sub 3:20. Copenhagen Marathon is super flat. I think my entire race was 70 meters elevation gain for the entire marathon. And when I say there was some roads that had hills, they were barely hills. It was minor inclines. And the temperature on the day was perfect. So conditions for racing a fast marathon were, pretty much perfect. The course was super easy. As far as fast marathons go, Copenhagen is definitely up there. And then I'd say all the way through, I got to halfway, and that's kind of where I thought, okay, this is where I know whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day. When I ran Goodwood last year, at the halfway mark, that's when I blew up. It was super early. And I know really you shouldn't start to really suffer in a marathon until like 32, 35k. But halfway at Copenhagen, I felt great. Like I was starting to pick up the pace even more at halfway. And I think my fastest splits were from 20 to 30k. Like that's when I probably felt the best. It was kind of that moment where things start to like come together and you start to feel good. But obviously it's a marathon, and I got to about the 28k mark, and that's when I started to feel some soreness in my legs, my muscles, some tiredness, and that kind of gradually increased until I would say about 35k, which it became the only focus. I was really struggling with leg strength towards the end of the race, and so for that last 7k of the race, it was just about trying to keep moving forwards and ignoring the pain in my legs. I'd say that upper thighs is really where I suffered. It was definitely a lack of leg strength, and I don't know whether that's because of the injury over Christmas just meant I hadn't rebuilt that strength yet, or whether it was a lack of strength and conditioning work in the gym. But yeah, it was a bit of a grind. But I mean, my pace didn't drop dramatically in that last 5k. I was probably doing, I think the last 4 or 5k, I was maybe closer to like 4:45 minutes per kilometer, which is like 3:20 marathon pace. So it wasn't like a big fade. At the last kilometer, I absolutely hammered it home down the finish straight. I think my last kilometer I was running like 4 minutes and 17 seconds, which is like 3-hour marathon pace. So yeah, I still had it in my legs to run fast at the end. And I ended up running a negative split. So I think my second half was like 30 seconds quicker. But yeah, finished, and there is a video of me coming over the finish line, and you can just see it's just absolute relief. I just like ground to a halt and just kind of like hobbled off. It was a big moment to just get over the line, and then that somebody took my photo right at the finish line, and it was like this like emotional mix of like relief, joy, pain. It was just like I was so happy to have finished, but like also so happy to have like finally got like a good marathon, to run it well, to start conservative and finish strong, and to get a PB at the same time. So yeah, I love that photo. It just kind of really sums up the day. But yeah, I finished in 3 hours, 17 minutes, and I think 41 seconds. So knocked about 2.5 minutes off my PB. So not massive, but given where I was like 2-3 months ago, where I thought, I didn't think a PB was on the cards, I'm super, super happy with that. I mean, as far as like my marathons that I've done in the past, I did like Brighton Marathon 3 times and then Goodwood Marathon. Copenhagen is by far the best marathon. It's also the first international race I've ever done, so that was a really nice experience. I mean, Copenhagen is a lovely, lovely city. So yeah, all round just an amazing experience. But now, yeah, I'm starting to recover, rest, process that race, and start to think about the next race, which is Ultravasan 90k in northern Sweden, which back to trail running, but still want to keep building on the fitness that I've created for Copenhagen Marathon. But yeah, what a great race. Just wanted to do a bit of an update. Still enjoying my holiday at the moment, but yeah, we'll be back to Winchester and back to training this week. So yeah, start to think about what comes next. All right, well, cheers for watching. Bye.